do that. So we're recording on our computer, and then we will just post it to our YouTube channel as soon as we're done.
Okay.
We didn't have anyone who requested to join in, so.
All right, well, we'll start with the officialness, and I'll call this meeting at 3:06. I'll call this meeting to order, and I will look at all your faces and ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest or nature thereof. And I see none, so I will look for a mover and seconder for approval of the agenda. And that can't be me, that's Frank and Ross. All in favor? That's carried. And I will look down. I have to jump between here on my laptop to mover and seconder to adopt the previous minutes. Unless there's any discussion on the previous minutes. Ross, you have a question?
I just would like a small correction, if I may.
Okay.
In 9.5 of the minutes, the second paragraph, can we have it read, noted the additional 60,000 LGA Architectural Partners fee? What I was, stressing was that this was.
Oh, okay.
And so I feel that to be accurate, the word added needs to be. Thank you kindly.
Okay, everybody all right with that?
So to add to the additional LGA.
The word additional. Frank, you have a question? You look muted, Frank. You got to mute.
I am. I'm back now. No question. I'm good for it.
Okay, that was your acknowledgement of being.
That was my acknowledgement of, okay, yeah.
Everybody else kind of nodded for me. So mover and seconder to approve those minutes. And there's Lloyd and Harley, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you very much. And business arising from the minutes. And then there's a new library facility update as usual. So who's doing this one? Kathy, are you going to do this one?
Yeah, I think we're going to share it a little bit, like we've been doing all along the last couple of weeks. Lynn has been gracious enough to keep me informed, and she's still been doing quite a bit of work, so I definitely want her to explain that too. But the new library facility update, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to drive by or not. You'll notice some of the oak skin they call it, is on the one right-hand side. It looks really nice. It almost looks like some tiling in different colors that's been added to the building. And they're just finishing up the roof too. So Lynn has a bit more information on what she's working on as far as documentation, but every time we drive by, there seems to be just a little bit more and more done each day. So the push is on. Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong. I think we were told that is a concrete product that they're putting on. So it's very long lasting and won't wear, and that's terrific. And it looks nice.
It's quite interesting too, because if you look between it, to me, it looks like tiles. If you look between the tiles, you can see where the water will drain out nicely as well. So. Yeah,
right. So it won't get trapped. Yeah. Anything to add, Lynn?
Yes, I've been working on the IRFQ, which is kind of like an RFP for the movers. So that should be going out. It's in Mac Fleming's hands now to put the quotation number and the ending date on. So that's, I found 4 movers that would be interested. So that'll go out hopefully this week. And so we're excited about that. And I've put in the RFQ a moving date of probably sometime in mid-September. So they would be moving the books, a few filing cabinets, and some chairs, and that's about it. So, because most of the other furniture are being bought new, the shelving and the furniture. The purchase order went out last week, so that will be delivered mid-August. I don't know how long it's going to take to be installed in the new library, but so that's exciting. We're getting there. We're getting near the ending, the finish line. This is great. The movers will probably take, my guess is 3 to 4 days. Stayner Public Library just moved into a new branch. Their collection's a tiny bit bigger than ours, and I believe it took 4 days, 3 to 4 days to move their collection. So, so that's exciting, very, very exciting news. So
was Stayner's move more than 20 steps?
It was longer than that, so yeah.
You could almost get a chain gang going in Meaford and hand everything off.
Exactly. So I know, yeah, so that's exciting. So that'll be going out within the next, well, maybe tomorrow morning, who knows?
Very good.
Very exciting.
Yep. Yep.
Just out of curiosity, Lynn, the stuff that doesn't go, the shelving that doesn't go, and all that kind of stuff, what happens to that?
That'll probably be going through the purchasing department, because there's a site called government. There's a government site that you can sell.
Gov Deals. Yeah.
Pardon me?
Okay.
It's called Gov Deals.
Gov Deals, that's the one. Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll probably be on that, and yeah, so.
I was just curious as to whether or not, I mean, there might be not demand, but need for stuff like that from in other libraries.
Absolutely.
If they would get a first shot at it without having to go through sort of a government disposal process. I don't know.
The issue is that we're dealing with things that are in trust for the people of Meaford, so there has to be a process that we actually do the best we can to recover some costs.
Sure. Sounds, yeah.
So it might be sold very cheaply to them, but it still would probably be sold.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like the nonfiction, those are solid oak shelves. They would be beautiful in an office or in someone's home, or
right.
Or maybe even repurposed somewhere else in the municipality by the
absolutely
staff.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So very good question, though. I like how you, Lloyd, we're helping other libraries.
Just
That's
saying,
how we got some of our book carts.
we're very fortunate that we could pass it along.
Yeah,
I know.
indeed. Yep. Okay.
Great.
Anything else on that?
No, not
Anything else? Lynn, nothing else?
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you. 5.2 upcoming events, and you've got a few things listed there.
Yeah, so our TD Summer Reading Club is returning this year. We're going to be delivering it virtually. As you know, libraries are all banding together on a new type of service delivery, and TD has been quite helpful with that, with some of their dollars about the way people can register. What's interesting is we're adding in, part of the process is the children can pick up superhero masks at our curbside pickup. So not only can they come and get their materials, they also have a nice little TD Summer Reading Kit that they can pick up as well during our curbside pickup hours. So there's still programs that are going to be planned virtually, and that kind of segues into the summer story tent. We'll be working with the Ontario Early Years again, but again, this will be done virtually. And there'll be craft kits that Lori Pierce and her children's team there are working on, kind of like a pickup for parents, so that it's a one-stop shop. They can come and they can get their books. They can sign up, they can participate in the story tent with the Ontario Early Years. They're really good professionals. So they work with Owen Sound and regionally throughout the library. So they can run the same sort of story time every week for a different library. And then through that, Amy's working on the Kahoot trivia game. If you haven't tried this, it is a hoot. So this is something that the Friends paid for us. It was about $350, but it allows people to go on between 6 and 10 p.m. And there's about 60 questions that you can answer, and you can see yourself kind of live on the podium. So Amy publishes the podium so you can see your rank and your standings. But she's always looking for suggestions, topic suggestions or trivia question suggestions. So she asked me to kind of put a call out to all of the big brains on the library board to send her anything you can think of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're in week 5 now, and they've been doing quite well. So, they had about 15 people participating last week. So.
Oh, cool. I can give that a try.
And lastly, the 100 Days, 100 Books. That's a new program that Amy and her intern from Mohawk College kind of thought of, and Lori Pierce. And we are almost at 100 days of quarantine. So as of Tuesday, June 23rd, we'll all have been in 100 days of this. So we asked for submissions, which you may have saw already in our call out of the books that people have read over these 100 days. So they have still been getting submissions. We're still looking for more. So please feel free to send along anything that you've been reading, whether it's ebooks or listening to. And then they have some other things planned too. Their craft that'll be published. People can show 100 things in a photograph they're working on, whether that be 100 marbles in a photo or 100 chocolate chips in a photo or 100 chocolate chip cookies Amy's hoping for in a photo. So, and that's all still taking submissions to the libraryinfo@meaford.ca email address.
Very cool.
Lots going on.
Lots going on. Well, thank you for that. Any questions on any of that? Just speak out because I have to switch between screens and I don't always see you. Okay.
Ross has a question.
Oh, Ross, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, Lynn, if you could forward individual files of those promo sheets that I can post on my Facebook page to help promote the library.
Definitely, and I'll make sure that these are converted to JPEGs for you because these are PDFs. Awesome.
Actually, JPEGs work a lot better.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'll do. Definitely, I'll change them for you. That would be my pleasure.
Send it to everybody, Lynn?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, 5.3 is job grants. So you want to tell us how that's going? And,
if you don't mind, Mike, I'll go ahead and just give you a brief overview. I know Lynn chatted about this a little bit at the last board meeting. The library had applied for a few grants, led by Amy this year, for a Canada Summer Job Grant and a Summer Experience Job Grant. So one is a federal position, like a federal grant, the other one is provincial. We were successful in receiving both grants. They have redone a lot of the criteria this year because so many folks have sort of not been able to participate in the program. So we're pleased to report that pretty much both of them are close to 100% of funding. So this is the first time we've had that, yeah.
So what do you see them doing? I mean, it's...
So the nice thing is that they move some of the timelines as well. So for example, the actual summer job experience grant, we had budgeted that in the library budget, as you know, and we've had a student named Claire Richardson, who's a high school student with us last year and had offered to take the position again this year. She did so well with us. So she's really been working with us every year. And at one point we were laying her off, but now we're actually able to bring her on to help with the curbside delivery. So she'll be working, it's a 25-hour-a-week position for 10 weeks. And she starts with us on June 22nd until August 24th. And she will really be doing 100% curbside. Okay. So as you can imagine, when someone comes in, we pull close to 100 books a day in the morning. And then we're ready to go by noon with actually handing them out physically to the patrons. Like obviously social distancing and PPE is there as well. But we're expecting that to pick up a lot more with the TD Summer Reading Program and some of the virtual kits. And she'll also be able to help us prepare some of those kits and some of that TD Summer Reading pieces as well. So Claire was not, receiving CERB or anything like that. So, and her position will be fully funded for the 10 weeks. So
that's great.
She's ecstatic about returning back to us in a different type of service delivery model, but we're really happy to have her on the team for a few weeks anyways.
Yeah, that's good.
The other position, the federal grant, we can actually shift to August. So we don't have to accept that until our other part-timers have returned. And this is something that we'll have to advertise, and it could start, as of mid-August and go almost right up to December. So we were thinking about a time frame of about 11 to 12 weeks, and it would be mid-August right into our move to almost to Public Library Week.
Yeah.
So this will really help with any kind of social distancing we're hoping in the new build, or whether we're still doing curbside and social distancing there, but it will also help a lot of the technology. So as you know, we got some funding from Rotary. So all of the technology requirements for the program rooms, she'll be able to help set all of that up and run some of the programs. Even if they have to be virtually, our service delivery might look a little bit different. But she's also, with her computer, him or her that have computer background will be able to do programs, help Richard posting set up some of the technology that will be in the new library, the public access computers, all the Wi-Fi, the routers and things that we're going to be doing over there to give him a second set of hands as well. And we've also talked about, whoever this person is, doing a one-on-one tech help. So if whether that's through Zoom virtually, like if we have to do it that way, or one-on-one via the phone, just so that we can reach the patrons that have that digital divide somehow and just provide some support, even though they can't be in the facility right away. Well, hopefully by then they can, but if they can't.
Yeah, I sure hope we can be in
Yeah.
the facility. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so those are the two grants, and I know Lynn sort of gave you a high-level overview of them last time, but we were pleased to report that, you know, we have been approved for them. So
Yeah, that's really good, and that we don't have to. Yeah, I'm glad they changed the dates on that too, so that we can actually use that person and the funding when we actually need it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good. Any questions on that, folks? All right, Treasurer's Report 6.1. If you, I think that came out yesterday, we looked at a Treasurer's Report, and there were a couple of items handwritten in there. I was given an explanation, but I'll let Kathy answer that. We saw some differences on the report. Go ahead, Kathy, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So if you noticed on page 2 of the report, Sharon, who does our treasurer's report for the municipality, she had prepared a report for us at our May 20th meeting, but there was a few, we submit all of our items, including our P cards, to accounts payable over there and purchasing, and they post as they have time. So if you look at page 2, there were some postings that were done between March 14th and May 12th, about $13,005.23 that was posted after the May 20th report that you saw last meeting. Mm-hmm. So she's added that 13,000 to the postings that she's done from May 13th until today. So I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining it. It means that there are some items that are listed on there that she didn't quite get them posted in time for the last report.
Yep.
Would one of those items be, Kathy, the Linda Com e-resource?
Yeah, and I think when she included this 10 pages, it looks like she may have even put in some of the ones that this may be almost, you've seen it twice. You know?
Yeah,
you saw it at the last meeting, but then she's also included it in one big, huge report again. So.
But we're not paying it twice, I hope.
No, yeah. A lot of times it's something that's been charged to our purchase card, like our corporate Visa, and it's like your own Visa. It takes a few days to be posted, and then by the time it goes on your statement and then gets to this point, it's a little bit later. But it does look like when Lynn and I reviewed this, I'd say the first maybe page or two is something you already saw on the May 20th report. Yeah. So we all have it again, just in another document. It's almost like a duplicate with the additions that were at the bottom. And that's why you see the handwritten notes there. What has been submitted as of May 20th, and then the difference of what she's added after that.
Yep. So having reviewed that, I need a mover and seconder to adopt those page sheets.
I'll move.
Nice, Kim and Nancy. Thank you very much. All in favor? That's carried. Wonderful. Do we have any correspondence? I don't remember seeing any. Anybody see Lynn or Kathy? Did we have any correspondence come in? No.
Lynn, do you think?
No.
Nope. Okay. And then we get into, and I just wanted to bring up I had a question to Darcy about any tidbits we could talk about, so I could actually have something to talk about. And this is what he replied to me: expected substantial completion July 31. They will work on deficiencies through to mid-August. So July 31 is only another 6 weeks, and they expect that to be substantially complete at the new library. And then clean up any deficiencies and things. All furniture has been ordered and will start to arrive August 10. And books are expected to begin moving over Tuesday after Labor Day weekend. And that kind of concurs with your request for quotes for the movers. But when you look at it and you see it's surrounded by so much stuff and things going on, and you go, my gosh, are they ever going to finish this thing? And in 6 weeks, they expect to have it substantially completed. That's pretty darned exciting. And then Labor Day, the books go in. So we're going to be walking around in there the 1st of September. Whew. That's pretty exciting, don't you think?
Not far off.
If we're allowed in.
Well,
Yeah. Bring your hard hats.
we'll seek special dispensation. All right. That's my little bit of report, other than my earlier comment that Toronto's moving north, so I expect our library to be even busier, because the people that I've been seeing, as I'm sure lots of other realtors, some don't have children, but some have young children.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to put an influence on our library and our schools and our rec department and all those kinds of good things. So we're going to see some pretty interesting times ahead.
Even grandparents will have children visiting in the summer using the programs.
Yeah, and I did read, and Ross, I noticed you have a question, but you can confirm that Memorial Park is opening in July?
I believe July 3rd. I'm just not sure what you'll be able to do there except breathe the fresh air and exercise your legs.
Well, I think it was for camping as well, though.
Quite possibly, but I'm not an authority on that. I don't know if Harley has any.
July 3rd is the tentative date. It's the target date right now.
Okay.
Still having some concerns with washrooms and just how we're going to keep them safe and clean and disinfectant, and
Right.
how often that's going to be required. So there's still some steps to be taken.
Right.
We're certainly hoping for that weekend after Canada Day.
Yep. Ross?
My question for you, Mr. Chair, is you're saying that a lot of people from the GTA are choosing Meaford at this point in time to move, and not necessarily waiting for retirement. So is this partly a reaction to COVID-19, or is it something else?
Well, certainly the retirees, not necessarily, but quite possibly due to COVID-19, but the younger couples, and I've seen a few of them from the city looking for homes, who either work from home or plan to work from home or find a new job specifically to get out of the city, and driven away by all of the fears of the mass transit to get to the towers downtown Toronto, where they're saying, well, if I can work from home during COVID, I can work from home otherwise.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to go looking for work. A lot of them do have the ability to work from home and go to an office once a week or once every other week. And it's COVID related. Yeah.
Wow. It's a
Yep.
new world.
It's a new world.
Mm-hmm.
It's made employers, large employers, and many employers, as well as individuals, take a different focus on life and seeing what's important, and just saying, well, let's get our kids out of there.
Plus, if I may, I don't think, I've been watching the march from the GTA to Georgian Bay all my life. And I was a part of it as a child, and then moved here in the late 1950s. So but I can recall, when you got to Barrie, you were a long way from Toronto, and that's not the case anymore at all. So I think that we're going to see more of this for sure.
Just on a meeting. Yeah, go on in. Yeah, go on in. Yep, thanks, Ross. All of that is true. Okay, CEO and staff report. Can you hear me, folks?
Oh,
Yep.
hi. We're going to go. I'm just going to take you through the May 2020 team report. Well, as you know, we started curbside pickup on May the 20th, and it has been so well attended by our patrons. We're getting such great feedback, great emails, just praising that at least they can get some books. And
Yep.
Lori Lettingham and Lori Pierce have been spearheading that. And Lori told us today that they're averaging a book a minute. We're open Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 12 to 3. So the count at the end of the day has a book a minute going out. So that's approximately 100 to 130 books or movies per 3-hour session. So that, I think that's great. And yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, yes, Ross?
If I may, Lynn, I am wrong. I understand that the Owen Sound Public Library is just getting ready to offer curbside service. Like, how did Meaford outpace Owen Sound so dramatically?
The answer is obvious.
Planning.
That's the answer. Yeah.
In our weekly Zoom meetings, we knew it was coming, and you know, I must say, Kathy snapped us to it, and we just we knew it. We said, as soon as the government gives us the okay, we're going to be ready, and by gosh, we were. So
Good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, so, and the silver lining in all of this too, from what I can see from a answering the phone and email perspective, is our patrons are being, they're learning how to use the online catalog, which is fantastic. So we're really helping to bridge that digital divide. Like, a lot of people didn't know how to, you know, reserve online. They didn't even know, some of them didn't even know it was on our website. So this has really helped the community. So somebody said to me the other day, it's like shopping on Amazon, but it's free. So it's fantastic. So I think there's a silver lining in this that's just wonderful.
Kim?
Lynn, I have been asked, just sort of on the side by a few people, has there been any interest or ability to have hours, maybe one evening, an hour or something for pickup?
For curbside?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good suggestion. And I know some libraries are going to be starting in July and August Saturday service, because these are, like, you know, the weekenders will come up. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, just, it was people who are working and out of town, and they said they can't get there Monday or Wednesday or Friday during the daytime. So I just wondered if there was that much. It's only been a couple that have asked me, and I said I'd pass it on, but.
Sure. We'll make note of that too. That's a fantastic idea, and we're here for the public. So, you know, anytime that we can get some public feedback, it's fantastic. That's what we want to hear. So thank you so much. I'll make a note of that, and we'll discuss it.
Lynn, the farmers market is going to start on Friday nights at the municipal square, and I don't know of the date. And again, it's one of those things that if you were able to offer pickup on Friday, people go to the market and then come to the library.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the market opened last week, and I didn't go, but from what I was told, all purchases have to occur online ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then you come and pick up what you've ordered, because the person that told me said some people came expecting to be able to buy something.
Oh.
Buy something by just.
Yeah, there'll be a learning curve. If we could tag along with them, though, that would be good.
You had to. Yes, I mean, it still might be possible, but apparently it did open, I think, just last Friday.
All right. Those are two great options.
Just before we move off to something else, I wanted to kudos to the staff of our library, because I had a number, as Ross had indicated, I had a number of neighbors out here in the western end of the municipality saying how awful nice it was that Meaford had curbside before Owen Sound did, and was wondering why in the world would that have happened. I credited the staff and the board, of course, but I think
yes.
mostly the staff.
Good.
We were chomping at the bit to see our patrons again.
Yeah.
Kudos to all of you.
Thanks, Lloyd. You're quite right, and we should. We're all very grateful for the staff being very forward thinking. Kathy is the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn is
No.
Keep snapping us to it.
ladies do a great job.
Yeah, and just continuing on with the May team report, the temporary cards have been fantastic as well. We have a total of 40 temporary cards from all over Collingwood, Owen Sound, Sydenham, a real branch from somebody from, I think it was Guelph. So we've had really good interest in that. And so yesterday I actually extended those expiry dates of those cards. They originally were expiring on July 31st, but because I thought for goodness sake, we'd be open by then, but I don't know. So yesterday I extended those cards to the end of September. So. Good. Yeah, because a temporary card only allows online access, which is perfect now for if you wanted to use, obviously, our online resources. So yeah, so hopefully those 40 people might come and bump it up to a full service card when we open.
So if I could just add to that, Mike, through the chair, if you're helping any or, selling any homes to anybody, I don't want them to think just because the library is closed, we certainly, we can't provide them service, because this temporary card is really a way to bridge that gap. So, if someone was thinking about visiting the library or just moving to the area or has a grandchild that's visiting this summer, it certainly is a way that we can make sure that they're able to enjoy the library services, even though they can't come in and get a card. We've offered this to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I'll be sure to mention that.
Yeah, and there's always silver linings, because people would call for a card, and they had a card 8 years ago. They didn't realize that, and I said, "Oh, you don't need a temp card. What's your, show me your, So we bumped it up to a real card. So. It's all good. We're all interconnected. Yep. And I just wanted to mention as well, we hosted the Brown Bag Book Club through Zoom, where there were 9 participants. So I think that's awesome. That's really great. And the Coast to Coast Community Walking Challenge, which we are partnering with the Meaford Cultural Services. So far, they've reached 1449 kilometers, and Amy told me today that it's Trois. So we're in Trois-Rivières, Quebec. So there you go. Fantastic. She said the hardest part, she thought, we get through the Maritimes, lickety split, but it follows the Trans-Canada Highway, and the Trans-Canada Highway through the Maritimes is all over the place. So it wasn't a straight line as we thought it would be. So that's really exciting. And the Forested Reading program, we had 90 kids who registered online and participated in that. So that was kudos to Laurie Pierce and the social media people for getting that advertised and having a lot of participants. So it's fantastic. Yeah. And skipping
it's a lot of extra work when you have these challenging
things.
It's
fantastic. But and I just want to do just the statistics, which says a lot of them are 0 because we don't have public computer logins and we're not having people in the building. But the e-library downloads have really, as you can see, have spiked. In 2019, we had 1733 e-library downloads and 2655 in May. So it's a big difference from one year to the next.
Yep.
That's been fantastic. So
interesting to see how that holds up after people are able to come in and get a book and see if they just stick with the ebook.
Yeah.
Yep.
But thank you. That's the team report from me.
Good. Thank you. Public Library Fundraising Committee report. Do we have anybody taking that on?
I don't have a lane here today, and Amy just gave us a brief update. The running total right now as of this AM from Jim at the Friends is $693,256.94. So we're getting closer and closer. There is another donation, I believe, that will be added to that. It just hasn't been made public. And as you know, there's probably donations coming in daily. So we're kind of on our last push there. And I think they mentioned at the last board meeting that the next step is doing a mail out. So maybe folks will get that in their mail and see that we don't have much further to go and add a bit of money to it.
Yeah.
Mike?
Close. Kim, yeah.
Just wanted to add, Amy has been tirelessly trying to figure out how we could hold a meeting, and for various reasons we haven't been able to. And they're looking, I don't know if Lynn knows any more about, they were trying to make us a subcommittee or something so that we would be able to have meetings, because there are some pressing issues that we need to deal with. So We're hoping that very shortly we can have some sort of a meeting and deal with a few issues things like the donor wall and things that have to be decided on. They can't be put off. So
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have something very shortly.
So are you looking for a facilitator to hold this meeting, to host it?
Well, we can't have because committees of council can't meet via Zoom or YouTube or anything. And the fundraising committee is obviously a committee of council. So they were looking to see, I think, somehow of making us a subcommittee of the library board, maybe, is how they were looking at it, so that we could then hold a meeting.
I think that was actually originally what it was thought to be, but then we determined that we couldn't be. But could you be a subcommittee of the Friends?
The Friends isn't, well, I don't know. Lynn may know better, or Kathy.
The FOML, they're not a committee, they are a volunteer group. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's all on our radar now, so we'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can make them a subcommittee, because I remember we had to do fully arm's length from the board for that.
Yeah.
There's lots of bright minds, though. Somebody will figure it out.
Well, that's why I thought I'd put it out there. Someone might know a little way around it.
Yeah. And you need to have an answer fairly quickly on that. You've got some issues that you need to talk
there's some
about.
things that we've got to figure out.
Okay.
Gee, I wonder, I don't know how to do that. Okay. No, I don't have an answer right now. So sorry.
If I could just add though, Mike, through the chair, we did chat about this at our new library meeting, our project team with Darcy and Nick and Brady, Lynn and Amy and I on Monday morning. So what we think is we're waiting to get a little bit more specs from Daniel and Brock, and maybe a bit more detail about the donor wall specifically. And then it might fall to like Amy working on it, and then maybe just asking for, sending out the information that she has, but we'll certainly be getting it done. We're in short order now when we're talking about September move-in dates. So
yeah. Okay, well, let's stay in touch on that one. If I think of something, I'll try. I'm not that versed on committee structure, and that's a good one for Matt. Okay. Where are we here? Southern Ontario Library Service Souls Trustee Council Representative Report. You have the biggest title.
Okay, so as I believe we had discussed at our last actual face-to-face meeting, Souls is looking at amalgamating with OLS North, and we have been working on that, and we have come to the agreement that we are going to, both boards have agreed to proceed with the amalgamation. We formed a committee to create a transition committee to oversee the development of an amalgamation agreement between the two organizations. The committee will consist of members, the chairs, vice chairs, and CEOs from OLS North and Souls as it is today. They will submit an agreement in the fall for both parties, and hopefully we will agree and the amalgamation will take place. More legal work than anything was what sort of has transpired at this point to see if it was doable, and everything looks like it is, and we received the funding from the government to do this transition. So it's all moving along. It's via Zoom and many conference calls, etc. And we are not meeting in June. We usually have our audit, but given all things that are happening right now, we will be doing it hopefully in October at one rather long meeting. And that's pretty much what's happening at Souls, other than, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Anne-Marie Medziak, who has been at Souls for many years in many positions, but she has been involved in the training and development of training programs she is retiring, and she is going to stay on though in a consultant role for the Apple program and leadership program. So big changes in Souls as we do the amalgamation. There's a number of key people who will be retiring within the next year. So, and she is one of those people, but it's really nice to see that she is going to stay in a small way, still in touch. So she's an amazing resource.
Yep. And
the only other thing I have to add is through LearnHQ, you can, they are presenting a COVID-19 library boards during reopening seminar. And it is Thursday, June 25th at 3:30 to 4:30. And you can register online at LearnHQ for that. And if you can't attend it, you can go in on LearnHQ. All their seminars are online that you can watch after the fact. But it might be one of interest for board members.
Mhm.
Good.
And that is all.
Thanks, Kim. Do you know if they intend to run the amalgamated OLs in Toronto in their current office, or do they think they'll find middle ground for their offices?
They are looking to keep offices both in the north and in Toronto. Part of that job of that transition committee is to come up with what our new board will consist of and how they will elect board members or choose board members. Because the North does it differently than we do at present. So we have the trustee councils and we're elected through them. The North does not do it in that manner. So there's a lot of things to work out and to see how it's going to function. And but the Toronto office will remain in Toronto. It's again a very small office. We don't meet there anymore. We meet at the OLA office. So, but they will have an office, and people, it'll be functioning, I assume, somewhat like it is now. It's just where the board members will be from and how they meet, and that's kind of all up in the air still.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
if I may, just before we leave Kim's report, I wonder, Anne-Marie Magiat goes back a number of years, and she's very familiar with the Meaford Public Library. She's helped us out many times over the years. I'm just wondering if, on behalf of the board, through Kim, if we could send her some kind of a letter of appreciation for her efforts over the years. This goes back to, I guess, shortly after amalgamation, when we were having trouble reconciling the two libraries in our municipality. And Souls people have always been there for us, and Anne-Marie's been a leader for us. So I just wonder if we could put something together. And
yeah, I think that's a great idea, Harley, and we could do it as a congratulations to her, an appreciation from us. And I'm sure she's aware that we're building a new facility, but it would be nice for her to know, if she isn't aware, but she could know what our new facility looks like, and maybe get her a thank you card with our new facility and the rendering embossed on the card, and send something along like that, saying, look what you did.
It'd be great to invite her to the grand opening.
Yeah, that would be really good. That would be really good.
I think she's definitely someone that we should keep for our invitation list, and she would really, really appreciate that. I know when I first met her, and she talked about how Meaford has been talking about getting a new library for the last 20 plus years. So yeah, she's been involved for a long, long time with the Meaford Library.
Well, let's make sure that happens. So we have her on the end. Kathy's nodding, so that's all written down. Thank you, Kathy. That's okay. That will be a done. Harley, thank you for that idea. All right. Well, while you're hot to tell stuff, you can tell us about member council report.
Okay, thank you. I will begin. And we've been actually very busy the last 2 or 3 weeks. Well, we're always very busy, but we're back having heavy meetings. June the 8th council meeting. We received the long-awaited Meaford Economic Development Strategy plan that was developed with the help of McSweeney and Associates, and a lot of local contributions, ideas, questions. So that report was accepted or certainly discussed on June the 8th. Some of the rural roads people will be happy that we have awarded the surface treatment contracts. This is basically tar and chips and a number of our rural roads. Also, dust suppression is coming. And finally, I think, and I've got to cross my fingers on this, but the notorious Frogs Hollow side road and the hill, the almost 1 kilometer hill that climbs up from Blue Mountains town line, we are going to allow a 1.25 meter bike lane coming up the hill, and I think a 0.25 meter going, or 0.5 meter maybe going down the hill on the other side. That is going to really go a long way in accommodating the greatly increased bicycle traffic that's on that road. And that just gets busier and busier almost weekly. And that's another example of folks from our southern areas coming up and utilizing our part of the province. We're going to initiate proactive municipal bylaw enforcement. And a little different, at least in a couple of areas. Property standards and under the building code, we do have not many, but a few structures that maybe are a bit of a risk. And the municipality has a responsibility to make sure that no one enters these buildings or these properties. It's a health and safety matter. And so we're going to assign some more duties to our bylaw enforcement officers. The Legion Park design concept, and that's basically the little parkette across the road from the Legion, or the former Legion anyway. We have a redevelopment design concept for there. We approved that. There we would have washrooms there, a walking trail, benches, new lighting, perhaps even a walking bridge across the river, close to the Bake Shop Bridge. Maybe in the winter, the walking trail would become a skating trail. All kinds of great ideas. Looks like about $1.25 million involved. However, we think that most of the expenses, when this does get underway, can be covered by development charges. So they will not be out of the tax levy. It's a concept. It's going to take some time, but it's a really, I think, a really good plan, really interesting plan, and time will tell what transpires there. Just on Monday, our council did have a planning committee meeting, and we dealt with two issues. One was, I think the one that got the most attention was a severance up at the Coffin Hill Wineries. It looks as if that property will eventually become two properties, one with a the winery and the house and the winery building, and a second property with another with a house, and they're going to grow some kind of specialty type apples, which will be quite interesting. Of course, likely a number of you are aware that on June 1st, we discussed the TCE report that was brought forward from Mr. Armstrong, and Council did give their blessings to TCE to continue with an environmental assessment and further research for their proposed project. I personally want to reiterate that, in my opinion, that does not mean council members are giving blessings to this project, but we did think it was fair to let it proceed to another stage. And one thing I missed from the council meeting, and Ross can tell us more about this, because he brought forward a notice of motion a little while ago to try to initiate some traffic calming in our municipality, and we approved a recommendation for some digital speed signs, pardon me. So Ross, I know I haven't hit on everything, but you go ahead and tell us what I've missed. Thanks.
Thank you, Harley. Okay, the traffic calming, I've had as a new councillor, a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails about traffic in the municipality of Meaford, and not just in urban Meaford, but in rural areas too. So I was very impressed when my motion went through to provide a report. I did not expect something as universal and comprehensive and as what staff came up with. But basically, there are measures that work and measures that don't work. So we're going to focus on the measures that work, and a good job that they researched it and found out, some things don't work. The main things are these 2 speed signs. There's one of them on the St. Vincent Street Hill you're familiar with. So these are portable signs, and the investment is about $15,000, but these can be moved around, and they can also be entrap speeders too. They can be used that way, two ways. But anyway, that's one thing. And then closer consultation with the OPP in coordinating their efforts in the municipality. So I think that's hopefully going to help. And then I also got another motion passed, which was to coincide with the paved shoulders on the hill on Frogs Hollow Side Road, that we would also install share the road signs on that new work. I would like to see this happen on all of the roads which are promoted by Grey County as cycling routes through the municipality of Meaford. But I was informed that the cost of that would be assessed to the municipality and run pretty close to $50,000. So I made a friendly amendment to my own motion to simply confine it at this time to the Frogs Hollow Side Road. But I think it's important that we do support cycling in the municipality. It's getting extremely popular, and I hope that we come back to that. And as far as the June 1st meeting, I think it was interesting. I believe that I believe it was at least 6 people of 7 people who spoke to the issues said that the fact that our official plan calls for the environment first is weighing heavily on their minds when it comes to approving the pump storage facility. And in my humble opinion, it A, isn't necessary, B, does not provide the benefits touted, and C, is out of all proportion to the ability of the local environment to support it. That's it.
Thank you, gentlemen. I will look at the page here. Do we have a Friends of report today?
Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I was just going to mention, but most of you probably know that they are opening the net shed this Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday, the net shed will be open from 10 to 4. And they are just accepting books Sunday afternoon so that they can let them sit in terms of COVID. So that's all I know. Lynn or Kathy, you may know more.
Well, that's good news that everybody really likes that net shed. So yeah.
It's exciting that I was surprised to see them opening. I'm really pleased that they're able to.
Yep, good. Okay. And Frank, do you have anything from the North Grey Union Public Library?
Yeah, we're still talking about the service agreement. I talked to Kathy and Lynn, and I talked about Tim's suggestions. He does not want to change the language, the revised agreement. He'd like just to sign it as it is. However, he feels that he can and we can reduce that error rate on those Meaford residents cards to about 3% just by due diligence, by making sure that when Meaford residents renew or get an Owen Sound card, that they will also have a Meaford card. In addition, he asked us to send him a reminder letter in September to send us a proposed budget. So if we send that letter, he feels that he can give us a number sooner. And the library service index will be sent with an Excel, so that makes Lynn's job a little bit easier with that particular thing. They're very happy with our working relationship at the Owen Sound North Grey Union Public Library. And so I would recommend that we give a motion that we accept that agreement and get it signed.
Any further comments? I see no one disagreeing. Might need a little refresher on the wording. I'd have to go back and reread it.
If I recall correctly, I mean, it was the November versus September. That was
Yes.
the main change we were looking for.
Yeah, no, that was it. The November 1st week is what it reads, and Darcy would like it earlier.
Right.
But the unique situation with a union library is that there's lots of other municipalities involved in the budget process, and so it's not likely to be that soon.
Yeah.
Is it possible to ask them for numbers in September and recognizing that they could in fact change by in September, that they could in fact change by November, just to appease our staff?
And that was the recommendation from Tim, that we sent him a letter requesting that budget number in September, and then
he's okay with that?
He would act on that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you okay with that, Lynn?
Yeah.
Kathy?
Oh, yes.
Kathy, you okay with that?
Yes, yep.
So at some point we need to, everybody okay if we sign that agreement then? I guess we need a motion then if, and Frank, I'll assume you'll make that motion to sign the agreement as amended?
Yes, I will.
As written with the request for a reminder letter, which unfortunately we have to remind him. And need a seconder for that? Nope, Kim, your hand was first. All in favor of proceeding with signing the contract? That's carried.
All right. So who were the first and the second? Sorry.
Frank.
Frank and Kim. I assumed Frank would move it because it would be his,
Yes.
it would look good on him.
I need to look good. That's good.
All right, buddy. All right. Yeah, some interesting stuff coming up in 10.1 is the workplace operational recovery for the library. Who's taking that?
Lynn has been working really hard on this one with the other departments in the municipality. So
Yes, the workplace operations recovery. It's I've been meeting with other municipal staff, and we've decided there's some within all the throughout the whole municipality. We drilled down that there's some common themes throughout all the facilities. 6 common themes that for back to work problems, if you want to look at it that way. One would be customers, home private property visits, staff proximity, movement and cleaning, paperwork and shared materials, meetings and events, and construction projects and vehicles. So obviously the library doesn't fall under, the construction projects and vehicles, but we are all working together as a team to have a back to work program for the library and the other facilities. So I've been working on a fairly detailed plan for the library staff and to get us back to work when we finally do get into phase 3 and phase 4, where we can open to the public. And so maybe next board meeting, I could go through a more detailed plan that's is just concerned with the library and the library staff. I looked at the policies, and I don't think we have to really change any of our policies to reflect the back to work for the staff and for the building opening, because I feel that a lot of the changes are procedural. So we're looking at things like, only a certain amount of people can be allowed in the library at time. We might have to change the furniture around to accommodate different people. There's a lot of things that we have to look at before we do reopen. So yeah, so we're that will be coming up in the next meeting. I can show you, walk you through what we will be doing for the staff and the public. So
Lynn, is there any significant operational expense gapping?
Operational expense
gapping. So is there any operational expense savings that could be applied for more frequent cleanings, for example?
I think they are, Jesse would be looking at all the facilities, and I think they will be looking at upping the cleaning as well. They want the signage, the arrows on the wall, on the floors and that type of thing, signage to how to wash your hands and that kind of thing. They want it to be all branded and looking the same throughout the municipality. So plexiglass, that kind of thing will.
Yeah, arrows on the floor, no offense, they don't work. People just end up going where they want to go. And I guess if you do your part, I mean, it's no different than somebody telling you they have never been exposed to anybody and no question it, but all they have to do is lie, and you just believe them. So yeah, we can only do the best we can.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be there probably will be a lot of signage up and about, just reminding people to, if you're sick, stay home, social distance, we'll move public computers around, maybe every other computer will be used. We'll have to monitor the times. You don't want people maybe, spending 7 hours. If there's only 2 computers that we can offer the public, you don't want the same person to be on there for 7 hours. You want to, make sure they have maybe half an hour. So there's a lot of details to go through.
Yep, for sure. Okay.
If I could add to that, Mike, through the chair, Lynn's been working really hard on this. We have implemented some of the procedural things that she's put in as far as curbside, like books will sit for 24 hours before they go back out to the next person due to the paper. So as well as the PPE, the mask and gloves for staff too. So we're kind of at a crossroads here, because in stage 2, under the provincial regulations, we technically could open the library, but we would have to have the square meter clearance, which we don't have in this facility. But the stacks actually aren't allowed to be open. That's one requirement, that the stacks must remain closed in the public library, in all public libraries. So that's why we sort of decided to continue with the curbside delivery for now and try to do as much virtual programming as we can and engage people as best we can in the temporary cards. But we're also sort of trying to figure out, we've had a lot of discussion as a library team on what is done in this building or whether it will be the next building we're in. Or are we doing it in this building and we won't even be in here a week or two and then we'll be in the next building. So it has been kind of hard from the looks of it right now. We may be opening in the new library with curbside delivery, depending on, you know, so. Yep. But at one point we were a bit worried when Lynn was working through this document, because we thought, you know, if they move to stage 2 and we're opening this facility, you know, is that money we're putting into this facility and then we have to turn around and put the exact same sort of money into the next facility, you know, but I think we'll be okay.
Yep. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Thank you very much. I see the next, was there a question? Somebody? Nobody? Okay, the next interesting,
I think Nancy,
yeah, you're just very quiet.
So has it been discussed maybe that for the new facility, is plexiglass already being installed as part of it, and a lot of different things because of COVID?
Yeah, I think that's what Kathy's talking about is.
Yeah, so you're already, that's kind of part of the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to consider. Like, will we be able to offer newspapers? You know, we're finally getting a new facility with a beautiful living room where people can sit and read. Will we be able to offer that newspaper because it's paper? It has to be quarantined. So there's there's a lot of stuff to consider when we do open to the public.
So in that case, I mean, that almost seems like an easy solution. And you don't bring in 2 papers. You you have a paper stand and everybody can buy their own paper. Take it with them when they leave.
Yeah.
As an option.
Yeah, lots of different things to consider. But
I see the next item, if it's okay to move along. We got the Meaford Public Library strategic plan for 21 to 24 coming up. That should be interesting.
Yeah, so I requested that this be added to the agenda. I just wanted the board to know that right now we're continuing to follow the 2016 to 2020 plan that the previous board sort of has set out. Generally by now, this board would be working on the next 4-year plan, but just with COVID, obviously that's put a little bit of a gap into that, as well as the new building. So I wanted the board to be aware that, you know, there is, we as a staff team, what the direction obviously will come from you, but we have really been guiding a lot of our team reports and our strategic plan achievements off the existing plan. And we haven't made too many strides into the 2021-2024 strategic plan that we sort of had on our radar for about 6 months ago to start, you know, 3 to 6 months ago. But so if it's okay with the board, you know, we'll just continue with this one until we get into the new facility. And then possibly by January, maybe we can just kind of put a real strong focus on the 2021 to 2014 or 2021 to 2024 plan.
Gotcha. Do you think that maybe some minor focus on some plans for the new build? There's going to be probably the most biggest change in there is going to be the tech room.
Yes.
Maybe something for at least the tech room in the Strat for this year. I'll let you talk with the staff about that, whether you think there's a point. We don't know at what point we'll be able to go in there and even use stuff. So I get why you're hesitating.
And we weren't sure about programming, like being able to actually how many people, and, you know, so it really has put a halt on. I mean, we're trying to meet the objectives as best we can, obviously, but and revisit, because it is a fluid document, but have things fit in the existing plan. But it's difficult to come up with the new plan and new things or suggest them to you when we're not sure what the new world looks like yet, or even the new build looks like yet, you know?
Well, anyway, conversation. I certainly wouldn't hold you to making anything happen because it's difficult to know. But in my mind, that's the only significant change other than the space itself. That is the one thing that's new. Okay. Anybody else have any ideas, thoughts? Okay. We'll wait to, maybe we'll have a chat about it next meeting.
Sure. Yeah, I thought if we just keep it on the agenda, it keeps it on the radar, and at some point we might be able to make a few changes here and there, and then before even a full document.
Yep. Thanks, Kathy. There's a notation next for meetings for the remainder of 2020.
Yes, we've done pretty well. Under the Public Libraries Act, the board must meet 7 times a year. So today would be your 4th meeting that we've had together, which is quite good. In, I think it was January, a resolution was passed, and Lynn was kind enough to pull that out for us and send it off to Mike and Nancy and myself, that we would have meetings in July, September, October, and November. So I can send you the dates for sure, but they're always the 3rd Wednesday of the month. What we were thinking is, if you'd like to, we just, with looking at COVID again, because we hadn't met in March and April, we just wanted to make sure that you knew you were still meeting the requirement with these dates. I think you had originally planned 10 meetings to meet. So you're still meeting the requirement if we meet in July. And you did take August off, which I think will still be fine. The only question was if we still meet in September, if we've just moved a week earlier. You know, I don't know if we can rally that quick. I mean, it would be great if we could, because then you'll actually be in the new building and being hopefully able to see it. But July, we were thinking would be virtual, probably. Yeah, and then we're hoping October, November will be in the new building. And then it was just whether, you know, August was a no for sure, so everyone can have some time off, but whether we hold that September 16th meeting.
Well, let's just let everybody think a little bit about that. We could have a very simple meeting, because if we're not meeting in August, we do have to acknowledge the treasurer's reports for pay sheets, but we could have a very short orientation meeting in the new build and approve a couple of things. And if there was anything of critical nature, we could deal with that, but we'll know well in advance, and possibly have one in September, but yes, October, November for sure.
Sure. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware you're still on schedule with the resolution you passed. We're still meeting the requirements.
Yep.
You still have August off if you want to plan something fun.
Yeah, if you get to go anywhere, but indeed. Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll have a July virtual, and then maybe next month we'll talk about, we will probably know more about the provincial openings and see what's going on.
Sure.
Any other thoughts on that, people?
Makes sense.
Okay. Moving on. We have no in-camera session, and we are at roundtable phase. If anybody wants to speak of a roundtable item. Everybody they're jealous of me sitting outside. They want to get outside. Nothing for the roundtable. It usually happens when I say we're just about done. So our next meeting is virtual on July the 15th, same time, same place. And if there's nothing else, if a hand goes up, going once, going twice, we are adjourned. Thank you all for showing up on my computer screen.
Thank you.
Stay well and have a great.
Thank you for putting up with the tech firewall issue or whatever it was that.
Well, you'll get it figured
out.
Blame it on someone else. Blame it on Richard.
I'm going to blame it on the firewall.
Blame it on the firewall. Okay, everybody, stay well. See you next month.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take care.